What's up, friendly neighborhood nerds? This is Judah Rad, and today we have Ben Kahn and Rachel Silverstein. They are the creative team behind, well, two-thirds of the creative team behind Renegade Rule from Dark Horse. This is going to be hitting the shelves on June 8th, I believe.
So May 26th for comic book stores and June 8th in bookstores everywhere.
I see. Okay, cool. Well, I've already read it. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody here, but it's pretty dope. And definitely make sure that you pre-order and show up on June 8th. So show up in May and show up on June 8th. So before we get into the questions, how are you two doing today?
I'm doing good. Today has been a lazy, rainy New York day here.
Very rainy. Yeah, we both live in New York, so we can relate to this crappy day.
Well, I'm a little bit jealous because I live in El Paso right now and it's so dry. So
happily give you all of our rain.
We've got spring here. Like spring finally arrived, so everyone's done with the cold. But now we just got to dodge the odd rainy day here and there.
So, the biggest takeaway that I had after reading Renegade Rule was sort of the importance of friendship. That seemed to me to be like the most standout theme you have going on in this book. Were the characters in Renegade Rule inspired by your friendship or by real life friendships that you've experienced? And I'm addressing the question to both of you, so whoever wants to answer that.
Well, I feel like a lot of it, like pretty much at every level, it was inspired by yours and mine friendship, Rachel. Like I kind of came up with just the first germ of the esports, like kind of team shooter, sports tournament idea. And the first idea I had was like, this seems like something Rachel would have like fun wanting and maybe would want to co-write together. So it's all so much. It's just us back and forth making each other laugh.
So which one of you is Jesse?
Ben.
So when we were reading dialogue, because that's just sort of like ended up being a big part of the writing process, was just taking the dialogue and reading out loud and being like, ooh, does it sound better if we put the bold emphasis on this word instead of this word? Like, oh, does it sound like, do we need this word? Is it funnier if we cut out this word? Like just saying it out loud over and over until we kind of felt it right. But our rule of thumb as we're reading it out loud was that I would read Jesse and Sasha, and Rachel would read Amanda and Tanya. Awesome.
Cool. So the interactions between these characters, I think, are my favorite part of this entire thing. And the way they interact, it sort of reminds me of like almost like a bro vibe that kind of like brings me back to like the Ninja Turtles or even like the Ghostbusters, where everyone's
I love that you brought up like Ninja Turtles and like Ghostbusters, because there was absolutely inspired like that quartet. Like I definitely looked at it going like, all right, let's go for humors. Like we got your Ninja Turtles, your Sex and the City, like Scooby Doo, like
Sex and the City. I love that.
Yeah, you got your like, angry one, sweet one, like Space Cadet one, your Leonardo one.
And everyone's giving each other shit.
Exactly. But also just kind of diving into the premise of the book, just kind of elevator pitch, high concept. Renegade Rule is an esports action comedy about 4 queer friends who compete together on a team and have made it to the national tournament of their favorite, one of the biggest VR shooter games. And now they got to compete and scramble their way to the top of the Renegade Rule national tournament.
So, do you feel like like when I say bro culture, like kind of that broing out of like talking shit and like having fun, do you feel like men have sort of had a monopoly on those types of like interactions in fiction in the past?
Rachel, do you want to?
Yeah, I feel like that's an interesting way to put it, because I feel like when you think of interactions that aren't like male to male or whatever, like when you think of a bro context, like that's not what I think about with Renegade Rule. But I guess
I could be misusing the term bro.
I think there's just the fact that like it gets to be like they get to be first and foremost just vehicles for like action and comedy in the way that just we're used to, I think, seeing male roles. I think I love a good kind of YA coming out story or a real kind of coming of age, but while these characters are all like queer women, they're all at a stage of their life where they're all very comfortable and out with who they are, so they can really just focus on having fun and playing this game that they all love so much. And it just, I don't know, it's like I love, and there's so much room for kind of the traditional queer narratives, but I really wanted to create a world like these characters can have a world where they get to make jokes and shoot laser beams and be like the sports stars.
Awesome. Yeah, it works really well. And the other thing that I like about it is that it provides some very much needed representation, including an all queer cast in an action comedy. Do you think that the industry as a whole is sort of making progress regarding representation? And what direction do you think it needs to go in kind of going forward?
I think it's getting better for sure.
Yeah, I think at least compared to some other mediums out there, I think comics, I think while there's still so much room to grow, I think comics is still kind of at the forefront in a lot of ways, like especially when you look at the indie scene and just, I mean, queer comics as a community is just a thriving place where so much amazing comics work is coming these days.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know I know that she's not here, but Sam Beck did a really good job of paneling and sort of brightly animating the action in this comic book.
Sam was, we're so lucky we got to work with Sam. Like
Yeah,
Sam's amazing. Like,
Amazing.
she
amazing.
brought it to life, like the colors, the level of emotion she was able to put in. Like as a writer, especially in comics, it's such a gift being going into a script, knowing that your artist is going to be able to nail, like just absolutely nail any facial expression and emotion that you're trying to convey. And it just frees you to show so much more instead of telling, and just like, I don't know, it was easy for us to kind of lean back and let her and the physicality and the emotion she gave them take the driver's seat in characterization.
When you were collaborating with her, what was the conversation? What were the conversations like when it came to like how you were going to bring the first person shooter sequences to life? Did you kind of already have an idea in mind of how you wanted that to look, or as far as the collaborative element of like, was it more of kind of a you tell them how it's going to be, or was it more of a conversation, like a back and forth?
We kind of, in our script, a lot of times what we would do is if there was something that either we didn't know how to write out in terms of like an action pose or something, we would either link like an image to what we had in mind. And then there are the classic, I don't know if you saw on the back of the book, the scenes of us, like there was a little description about us acting out the scenes together. So Ben and I would spend a couple days together and we would write it together in person. And there's like the classic scene with Jesse and Sasha. I don't know if you remember it, where Jesse is like pulling Sasha across the ground. And we actually acted that out in real life to see like, okay, if we're going to describe this to Sam, what should it actually look like? And so we actually dragged each other across the floor and it was hilarious.
That is my writer's tip for aspiring comic writers. Don't be afraid of using reference images.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid. Like, if you're struggling to describe something, if you're trying to describe a location, a certain type of fashion, a particular facial expression, hands gesture, uh, the artists don't like playing the guessing game either. Like, don't feel like it has to be pros. Like, I just pop reference images right there in scripts all the time. Like, uh, that's my just one piece of advice is don't hesitate to use reference images even as a writer.
Did you use a lot of Overwatch references by chance?
So we didn't actually put any references in the script or anything, but it was definitely on the forefront of the mind. I have always been, not so much anymore because I got bogged down by law school, but I used to be a huge Renegade Rule, a huge Overwatch player, and that was definitely something that we had in mind while we were coming up with character classes and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the maps, the kinds of character classes they play as, just the basic setup of like the 4v4 shooter, like team shooter, like if there's any one game that that like our fictional Renegade Rule is most directly borrowing from, I mean, no doubt about it. It's like Overwatch is definitely Overwatch is definitely, when we were started writing this in, oh gee, what was it, 2017? I think we started writing
17,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, like Overwatch is really
Huge.
yeah, it was the crown jewel of gaming. So, if everyone goes out and pre-orders Renegade Rule and we get a volume 2, all I'll say for that is, where the shooter genre has evolved since 2017 would definitely be informing where we would be going for a sequel.
Cool. And so like if I were to describe this to somebody, I would be like, hey, so if you like Overwatch and you enjoyed like the Mighty Ducks, you will definitely enjoy this comic book.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Like there's
Where did, as far as the sports side of it, like the kind of like rising to the challenge as a team kind of vibe, what were your influences there?
Oh yeah, and that vibe, like that was there from like day one. That was always part of it. Like this is a sports story. It's a VR. It's a VR esports story, so there can be lasers and robots and crazy costumes, but sports stories. Like you said, Mighty Ducks, absolutely. Other sports stories, really a wholesome. Bring It On, The Replacements,
Space Jam.
Space. Your
Yes.
general, yeah, Space
I don't
Jam,
know.
Air Bud. Like in general, like a lot of love for sports movies. Some like what was it? Some of the Yankee movies. I'm a huge New York Yankee fan. But also sports manga was also a big influence. So I Shield 21 about American football, Haikyuu about like volleyball. So really it was for as many shows and movies there are about video games, your Dot Hack Sign, Ready Player One, Sword Art Online, like we had a few rules there, like we're shying away from all the VR, like trapped in the video game, that, like
yeah, it's nothing like Ready Player One,
yeah,
which I was pleased by
it's
that.
VR, it's like a VR action and like people in a video game. But like you said, it's so much more Mighty Ducks than it is Sword Art Online.
Yeah, definitely. So my favorite character is definitely Jesse. I find Jesse highly entertaining.
I love Jesse. Jesse's my favorite too.
Oh, is that your favorite? Okay, Rachel, who's your favorite?
Probably Tanya. I feel like I relate to her the most. And when we came up with her character design, we wanted a character where she would be just like the ultimate fangirl, because as someone who played a lot of Overwatch, I always loved the lore and the backstories behind all the characters. And so we wanted a character that would be like really into the fan fiction and the fan art and stuff like that.
That's how I would be, because like I don't play Overwatch, but I like read the comics and watch every cinematic. Here's what I'll get into the lore. This is going to be a great story from like little kid. I would do the regular old like spoiled white child tantrum, like, well, go to the toy store. And I would run to the Transformer section with all the Transformers and the Beast Wars toys. And I'd flip every toy to the back and I'd read all of their like the little bios and information cards they used to have on the back of the toys. And then once I'd finish reading all of the back of the toy, like of the Transformers bios, I'd be like, all right, I'm done. We can go home now. Don't need to buy anything. I'm good. I got what I wanted.
That's awesome. So you like that? You just like knowing all the background of a story and like all the little world building components.
The action figures could never do the awesome kung fu choreography that they could in my head. So I'm like, why bother?
Right.
I'm just going to do the kung fu battles up here. I just need to know just need to know the context and the personalities.
Just need to scan the toys and then they're in here. That's awesome. So people that are going to be watching this will not have read it yet. What would you say is the kind of audience that you're trying to reach, and who do you think is going to like this the most?
Definitely the queer community. But you know what? I think anyone could like this.
Yeah.
Which is something that's
Definitely.
great about Renegade Rule, is that obviously we have a whole queer cast, but anyone who likes a sports story, anyone who likes an action comedy, it's got a little bit of everything in there.
Like I said, I really wanted to just broaden what a queer story could be, and I wanted to broaden who the audience for a queer story could be. I wanted we really wanted it to be like, just have the feeling of these girls are just so much fun to hang out with, and you feel like friends you've known or people you've played video games with, that you just get swept up and feeling like another person just hanging out with this group of like witty friends.
Just the banter, like the banter is so relatable. Like just by the end of the book, it really feels like you have these friends in this book. It's pretty awesome.
I love that. That's 100% like what we were hoping for. That just like ultimately that people just get to know these characters. Like it's my favorite thing that if we pulled it off and did a good enough job developing each of these girls, that each of them has a sizable number of people like has favorite, is like people have different favorite characters. Like I love that.
That's definitely going to happen. That's definitely going to happen when people read this. So what else do you two have any other projects in the works or anything else that we can expect to see down the pipeline? I know you're also working on Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, that's been really fun to work on. That's been my first work for hire book. So that's based off of Ubisoft's Immortals Phoenix Rising video game franchise, and it takes place after the DLC. So if you're into Phoenix Rising and you've gotten to the ending and you've seen where some of those twists have gone, and you wonder how that'll play out and what some of the implications for that are, and you really kind of want to see the next step, like chapter of the story, then this comic is really that bridge to where the franchise is going into the future.
When you get like a licensed project for a video game, do you have to do they send you a copy of the game and you have to like kind of play through the whole thing before you can start writing, or how does that work?
So what I had was they sent me the script. So
okay.
What I'm gonna do in a little bit, in like next month, I think starting, is I'm gonna figure out Twitch. I'm gonna figure out how to do Twitch, and I'm gonna stream my way through playing
That's
Phoenix
awesome.
Rising.
That is awesome.
That might be a fun little way to promote the game, to promote the comic, get people a little more, let people know kind of that the franchise has moved to a second medium, as it were. But no, that's been really fun. And again, it was really great working with Ubisoft. Like they could just gave me and Giorgio just such a fun part of the lore to get to work and explore and add to. And I'm just really thankful that they invited us into their sandbox and let us play with some of their toys.
That's awesome. So Rachel, is this the first comic book that you've worked on?
Yeah, so this is my first comic. I've written other ones, and I'm just waiting to find the money to get an artist. But I actually do have another one that's currently being pitched, and fingers crossed something good happens with that one.
Are you going for publishers, or are you thinking Kickstarter?
No, we're going to publishers at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I look forward to seeing that. So I don't know, I just got off of like quarantine. I just started going back to my day job, but there was like a very long period of being at home. So I've been doing a lot of nerdy ass shit lately. But not counting work or creating, what kind of stuff have the two of you been kind of nerding out on lately?
So I've been getting deep into just diving deep into nostalgia and with video games. So appropriate to Renegade Rule and shooters, I've been digging deep back to my middle school, early high school days, and I've been replaying the original Halo trilogy.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've just
Nice.
been tearing my way through aliens and space zombies, and I'm about halfway through Halo 3 now. So once I finish that up, I'm gonna put on those wings and start saving them Greek gods as Phoenix.
What about you, Rachel?
So it's probably not the kind of nerdy that you're thinking of, and I'm sure Ben's gonna roll their eyes when I say this, but I have been geeking out on frogs. I'm kind of a frog lady. Yeah, I saw
How
that
can you
face.
think I'm gonna roll my eyes?
No, I don't know.
Being, I love that.
I'm highly interested.
Right?
I don't know anything about frogs. I would
Tell
love
us everything.
Oh,
Can you
man.
give us just a couple awesome facts about frogs that we might not know?
IFLC, I freaking love frogs.
Oh, I don't know any like random facts off the top of my head, but
I didn't mean to put you on
I'm
the
like
spot.
crap, I don't know anything. But I just actually bought 3 tiger-legged monkey tree frogs the other day.
Sounds poisonous.
They are not. They are just regular tree frogs, so they're green on top, and they have tiger stripes on their legs and under their belly.
Are those the kind where if I lick them, I'll get high, or
That would be cool.
is that a different frog? Is that a different? Sorry,
Rachel, you can answer
awesome.
that off the air if you like.
Yes, I will look and get back to you.
Tell me which frogs to lick, please. That's awesome. That is very, very cool. So just to kind of continue this question, and then I'm gonna kind of outro us out. But are either of you Mass Effect fans, and will either of you be playing the Legendary Edition next month?
I love Mass Effect.
Yes.
I personally put Mass Effect 2 at my number 2 game of all time, number 2 favorite game of all time. Number 1 is Metal Gear Solid 3, and number 2 is Mass Effect 2. I love it so much. It is one of the most nearest and dearest franchise to my heart. I will definitely buy the Legendary Edition. Will I have time to play it? Boy, is that a whole other question entirely.
So I'm in the middle of like my 5th playthrough because I heard about the Legendary Edition, and then I was like, I can't wait for that. So I'm like playing it right now. It is the best. I agree. It's amazing. Do you kill the Rachni? Do you kill the Geth?
So
who do you romance?
I played full Paragon. I went as Paragon as I could. And I romanced Jack.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm jelly.
That's always where I went with. Yeah.
Nice.
I've never played it.
And you know what? I think it's BS that I have to pick between hearing Jennifer Hale's voice acting as Shepard or romancing Jack. I can't make that choice.
Hopefully the Legendary Edition kind of fixes some of those romance options.
I would love it if it was just like Mass Effect Legendary Edition, now as queer as Fox News accused us of being.
Yeah, definitely. That would be awesome. So if you are into first-person shooters, stories about friendship, and challenges, be sure to check out Renegade Rule. So the TPB is going to be in stores in regular stores June 8th. You mentioned May, what is it, 27th?
May 26th for comic book stores.
May 26th for comic book stores. Definitely check it out. I think it's kind of a breath of fresh air. It's a very fun and super enjoyable read. Also, be sure to check out Ben's other work. Be sure to look out for Rachel's upcoming projects because they're coming. And just remember, not over. So make sure that you wash your hands, cover your face, avoid crowds. Also, the vaccine, it's your friend. Please do whatever you can to get it. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and check out our Facebook groups too. Thank you for joining us, Ben and Rachel. Super appreciate you spending time with us. And I hope to have you both back with us soon.
That would be fantastic.
Thank you.
So much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Awesome. All right. Bye.
If you want to hear interviews from industry pros, get first looks, and have access to endless comic content, wake up. Please wake up. You're in a coma. Your mother misses you.